everybody, it's your boy Michael Smith Grant, also known as EKARD, or formerly known as Popo. Haven't really done one of these in possibly like, I don't know, 11 years since I had my old Yugioh tubing channel under the Godlike channel. But I've recently come back to playing Yu-Gi-Oh about 3 weeks ago for the modern format. And over this past weekend, I went undefeated in Swiss for the OTS championships out here at Truly Urban Hobby Shop in the Bronx. And I played Rescue Ace, and today's is going to be a deck profile. I'm also going to show some of the combos. Before I continue any further, I just want to give a huge shout out to my brothers from another mothers out in the West Coast, Team WUNAX, as well as my brothers here in the East Coast in NYC, formerly known as Team Godlike, but in the future will be known as Majin. I've been working on my own card game to develop and produce, so that's why I've really been away from a lot of other card games, but I've recently come back to playing a lot more. But without further ado, let's actually get into the deck profile. I use 3 hydrants, which is pretty standard. A lot of people think this is like one of the worst cards you could draw in Rescue Ace, but in my version it's actually one of the best cards because it presents you a 1-card Ibli lock with what I have in my package for the extra deck. But the actual best card you want to draw is of course Airlifter, which we also played 3 of. Just recently I saw the OCG limited Airlifter to 2, which that means that Rescue Ace is becoming a problem. I played 3 Impulse. Originally I was playing 2. I even tested 1. I even tried a version with 0, but I believe the correct number is still 3. You mainly want to use it for your own turn rather than your opponent's turn because of all the hand traps that's going on in like the 3 weeks that I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since I've been back, and what people have been telling me. I played against or should I say I played 2 Turbulence. You don't need any more than 2. Maybe when the new Dia Bellstar support comes out, you can test 1, but I think 2 is just the right number to go forward with. 2 Preventer. This is literally my favorite card, my favorite Rescue Ace monster. Like literally, it's just busted. Like custom card, as people will tell you. I played the 1 Fire Engine. The cool thing about Fire Engine is that you just you get free special summoning. This is like when you absolutely have to use Impulse on your opponent's turn because you have really no move. This is when Fire Engine will come in handy. But there's also some other cool moves that do come in handy, which I'll explain a little bit later on with my extra deck choices. Rounding off the rest of the Rescue Ace stuff, we have 3 Emergency. I played the field card, the Rescue Ace HQ, the Alert, the Rescue, the Contain, the Extinguish, and I am actually main decking the Reinforce. A lot of Rescue Ace players decide to cut the Reinforce card because it's just another brick, but there are some lists that were side decking the Rescue Ace, the Reinforce itself. And my theory is, if you want the card to go first, and it is, I guess you could say, a card that is in engine for the Rescue Ace, even though it is a brick, then you might as well main deck it and then you side deck it out. This card, there was during the tournament, a lot of people, I guess a lot of other players didn't really know that you can banish this on your opponent's end phase and set the field card if it were to be destroyed. Even if it's in the same turn, you can basically, if the field card gets destroyed some way somehow, you can just literally reinforce, set the field card, activate the field card, and then shuffle the Reinforce back and then reset everything with Turbulence. So that's what some of the things I was actually doing during the OTS, which actually saved my ass a couple of times, especially when a lot of people weren't expecting the 1500 attack boost. So it did work to kill off a lot of things, especially when I needed to basically save like a Airlifter, because Airlifter would become 32 from the boost, and it was saving my ass a lot. Other than that, we have the actual probably best Rescue Ace card, Kashtira Fenry, or should be called Rescue Ace Fenry, for the job it does in this deck, because it's busted. I'm surprised Kashtira didn't get hit on the ban list, especially from what people were telling me, from formats past. So but while it's around, might as well utilize it. Other than that, I played 3 Ash and the 1 Ibli main. My entire main deck count is 41, and I played 21 monsters and 20 spells and traps. Rounding off the rest of the spells, we have 3 Pot of Prosperity, 3 Book of Eclipse I think is still good, especially with purrely and a couple other decks, like, you know, that will still rely on being, it's still good, it's still a good disruptor, you know, interruption, for what people say nowadays. I actually main decked 2 enemy controller, not gonna lie. Barely saw it at all in the tournament. And of course I was always citing it out when I'm going, for the most part I was just citing it out. You know, I thought I was gonna see like more Unchained, which I didn't see. And especially if I did draw the Ibly, you know, there were some plays where I could just normal summon Ibly. If there happened to be a link monster in my graveyard, then special summon it back, and then enemy controller with the Ibly to take one of my opponent's monsters, give them the Ibly, so now they're locked for at least the turn itself, and then go proceed from there. But never really came up. I didn't really miss Nibiru, but I maybe going forward I might play Nibiru over the enemy controllers, but I'm just not sure. There are other cards that I might want to test as well, like Forbidden Droplets, but we'll see. I'll keep an eye on how I want to continue with enemy controller. But the rest of the cards were Reinforcing the Army, 1 Call by the Grave, and 1 for 1. Never even used Call by the Grave at all this entire weekend. So I guess I mean, you know, until further results come out from testing, I'm just gonna keep the Call by the Grave in the main deck. But if people are moving towards, you know, less hand traps for monsters, then I'll take it out. I mean, maybe it might help a little bit more when tearlaments starts to pop up, even, you know, in local scene, but I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with Call by the Grave anyway, so we'll see how things continue to progress. Let's move on to the extra deck. So starting off, I just want to address the Terahertz package, which features, of course, the Firewall, Dark Fluid, and the Desay Swarm. And the key way to make it, of course, is going to be with the Binary Sorceress and G Golem. I utilized this package. I know a lot of other people who play Terahertz were playing the ones with the Reproductus and all the other stuff and whatnot. And while the package is all right, I prefer this one right off the bat, I guess I should say. But I am not opposed to trying out the Reproductus one. It's just that I try to use both the Terahertz and Ibly, mainly because what a lot of people, at least from the Rescue Ace players that I was playing against, what they didn't even know is that, you know, while these two are linked to monsters, right, that obviously can go into the Terahertz line, they are linked twos that you can still make Gigantic Sprite with, because they do meet the requirements, instead of using the Puzzle Mino, which a lot of people do. So usually game 1 I would focus on using these two to make Gigantic Sprite, and then go into, you know, the Ibly combo. We still played the Beat Cop for that line itself, but there are other cases. In case somebody has the answer to Ibly, then it's gonna be the Terahertz combo, which a lot of people weren't prepared for, because they'll side stuff for Ibly because they think it's going to be coming, and then they get hit with the Terahertz combo, and then they're just like, oh well, damn, I really wasn't expecting that. So that really helped me win a lot of games this past weekend. Other than that, the rest of the extra deck, which I made everything. I made the Hida, I made the Dark, we made the IP, and I was running IP mainly so we can also make the Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax, because Unchained has an incredibly hard time clearing Avermax by itself already, but added with the protection from IP, then it becomes like a god card against them. The rest of the extra deck turns out to be the Nightmare Unicorn, Axis Code Talker, Appaloosa, and the Donner. Now I want to address Donner real quick, you know, because for my testing, if I was running the Nibiru, or should I say, you know what, let's not even use Nibiru, because I wasn't running Nibiru. A lot of people will be like, well, if you're playing Rescue Ace Impulse and you have Fenrir in hand, like, and this is like in your opening hand, like, what are you really going to do? So a play that I was often doing, if I had to Impulse on my opponent's turn, it would be Impulse to get the Rescue Ace Fire Engine. Usually they're going to be special summoning again, and then from fire engine you would get the airlifter to search out emergency or rescue depending on the situation itself. And if there was a monster still on their board while these two are still there, there's an option for you to just go link into Donner and then use Donner pop itself to pop another monster that's problematic, and then you get free reign to play Cashier Fenry. I actually did this play like 3 times this weekend, which allowed me to play Fenry and then just, you know, continue to net advantage. So that was I guess you could say a critical reason why, especially if I got nibbed. I could do the same exact thing by, you know, summoning with the token, summoning airlifter or whatever it is, and just make Donner, blow up Donner with their monster, then play Fenry and then play from there. So that essentially is what some of the moves were with that, and that's why I included it as a choice in the deck itself. Let me get to the side deck real quick. We have 3 bestial druid swarms. I'm still on the fence about this. I think it's all right, but we'll see how the format continues to develop, you know, against Unchained and stuff like that, and maybe tearlaments. We'll see how it goes, if I'll still keep it in, but I never summoned it all weekend, so we'll see. In terms of the spells, I played Harpies, I played Triple Tactics, I played Change of Heart. I was anticipating losing the dice roll so many times this weekend and playing against a lot of decks that might have, you know, impenetrable boards and whatnot. So I figured that Change of Heart, you know, against Unchained, Triple Tactics against Unchained, because they're usually always going to set off your effects if you can pop them during the main phase. I thought those would, you know, set off, and Change of Heart and Triple Tactics did help me a lot. I played against the Exo Sister matchup, and Change of Heart literally was one of the cards that was game breaking towards breaking their entire board in that match. Other than that, in terms of back row hate, just in general, I played 3 evenly match, because evenly match is so OP against rescue ace. It should be OP against other decks as well. More often than not, your opponent's not going to be evenly locking you if you play against a rescue ace mirror match, for the sheer fact that you have options to, you know, to essentially go off. Of course, if they have like the amazing back row, then yeah, where they have like, say, contain and extinguish, then it can kind of suck, but I rather have the evenly matches than not. But like I said, usually your opponent isn't going to try to evenly lock you in the rescue ace mirror match, at least from what I've seen. But evenly match did come clutch once again against the Exo System matchup, because they played Martha. It was like my first time playing against it as well, since it has been like, you know, 9 years since I played Yu-Gi-Oh, and had to learn so much in the past 3 weeks. But they played the XYZ monster that can like bounce something, I think it was, or banish something. Yeah, I think it was banish, and they had like 3 back row, and then I you know, evenly matched, try to change their heart, you know, then they chained to make a new XYZ, and I was still able to break the board from there on. Rounding out the last of the side deck was 3 anti-spell and 3 solemn judgment. The anti-spell is what a lot of people really didn't see coming. I think a lot of people were expecting D barrier, but for me, when you have Terror Herds backed up with Desay Worm in the graveyard and you have anti-spell, that is usually FTKing a lot of opponents. There's not much that you can lose to, you know, like if they break your board after that, then I mean they do, like that's just it. But for the most part, this was enough, because this pretty much means that you have to lose to evenly match 2 at that. You know, you're not going to be losing to, like, say, Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster and whatnot. A lot of decks do play so many spells, like a Purrely, like some of the Unchained decks nowadays, and even Flu, you know. So that's why I think it justified me to play anti-spell over the D barrier. Plus D barrier wasn't gonna like really cover the Flu matchup that I had limited knowledge of, outside of seeing how many spells they played in their deck, and none of them was really like quick play. So I felt that having the anti-spell going first along with, you know, Solemn Judgment was going to be good enough. At my locals, I played against a couple of Vanquished Souls, and I know Solemn Judgment. You just stop there, normal summon. They really can't do much from there on out. But this I felt like was enough to cover going first for the majority of the time. And yeah, that's pretty much rounds out the side deck. Now, in terms of the lines, you know, in terms of like specific plays, if there's questions about how exactly we're getting to the sprite, or should I say we're getting to the Ibly lock with just one card, because normally people are going to be playing, say, the airlifter with the Puzzlemino line, right? That's normally how it's going to be going, like airlifter with the Puzzlemino line, right? That's what people are normally used to. In this situation, depending on, like, usually I will always, if I go first, I'm always going to Ibly lock my opponent, and then from there on I can gauge if they can fight through Ibly or not, because I don't think Ibly, like going into Ibly is necessarily bad, because a lot of people still aren't prepared for it. Like if you play against a tearlaments deck, you know, they really can't do much. I play against the Exorcister deck, they really couldn't do much. I play against a Synchron deck, you can't really do much. Unchained, unless they're tributing for, you know, with their Shavara, then they're and that's even a terrible, like it's like terrible for them. But unless they have like insane follow-up afterwards. Usually a lot of players would also, you know, in the Ibly lock try to just normal summon, but at that point you have your extinguish, you have your contain. You could just pop their card, or you could just negate it and just leave them with 2 useless monsters on the board, and then you can proceed to try to OTK them from there on out if you can. If you like, usually you have enough resources to just OTK them. I know some people are going to be like, well, where's Sunlight Wolf? I really didn't find space or find a need for it, because there were just other stuff that was much better for me to make this weekend. But yeah, let me get to the one card Ibly lock in terms of this one with using the hydrant. I mean, the same thing could be done if you do draw airlifter, but let's say your first play is just you just draw the hydrant that a lot of people find dead. You summon hydrant, you search preventer, you send hydrant to the graveyard to special summon Link Karibo. You then banish the hydrant, special summon preventer. You link Karibo and preventer off to go into binary sorceress, which will then special summon back the hydrant. You use Link Karibo's effect to tribute the hydrant to special summon back Link Karibo. You then link these 2 off to go into your G Golem. G Golem then will special summon back binary sorceress. And here's you would just overlay those 2 to go into Gigantic Sprite, because Gigantic Sprite reads that you can treat Link 2 monsters you control as level 2 monsters for materials. So there you have it right there. And then you can then grab your Ibly to special summon out from Gigantic Sprite, tribute these 2 off to go into Beat Cop, special summon Ibly to your opponent's side of the field, and then tribute Beat Cop to place the counter on Ibly. And there you have the Ibly lock if you're going first. If you have like a really stacked hand, let's say you draw the airlifter instead, right? Let's say that's just if you have, like, if you draw no other starter and you don't have airlifter as your combo starter and you draw hydrant, then you just go for Ibly lock. Let's say you have the airlifter, right? You can do the same exact thing. Instead, it'll just be airlifter. You know, you get your emergency, which will play here. So it'll be airlifter. You grab emergency, you play it. You will then get your hydrant. This will get tributed off for emergency's effect. You'll then use hydrant's effect to search for your copy of turbulence. Turbulence will special summon by banishing the emergency and the airlifter. You can then use turbulence effect to set 4 from your deck. It depends on the situation at hand. The card you're always going to get is going to be the alert and the rescue, no matter what. And then from here on, you can choose whether you want to get the reinforce, the contain, or the extinguish. If you're going to Ibly lock your opponent, you're just going to get the contain and the extinguish. If you're going to be focusing on, say, the terahertz line, you can get the contain and the reinforce instead. So you can reutilize any of the alert or rescues that you just put into the graveyard for the next follow-up. But in this case, you know, if you're going to want to Ibly lock your opponent, you'll just set these 4 here. You get to activate alert thanks to the Hydra's effect of activating a rescue ace card for set through a rescue ace effect that turn, when the alert will search you the preventer. From there on, you will go hydrant to go into the link Karibo. You will banish the hydrant to special summon preventer. Then you will link these 2 off, the preventer and the turbulence, to go into the binary sorceress. Preventer effect will special summon back the hydrant. You will then link off binary sorceress and link Karibo to go into G Golem Crystal Heart. G Golem will then special summon back the binary sorceress. Even right here, you can just go straight into Ibly if you so desire to. So you can go straight into Ibly from doing that same combo right here if you desire to, or you can continue your combo by tributing off the hydrant to special summon back the link Karibo, and then go into the terahertz, dumping the Disay Swarm, and now your board is literally firewall, other 4 cards in hand, and this back row here, which the next follow-up will be the special summon the hydrant, and now you have the extra effects of the rescue ace cards. So all in all, those are pretty much the combos that we're utilizing over the weekend. If there's any changes I would make, would probably be the Avermax. Maybe I might try the BLS instead over Avermax, to give me something else to work with. You know, I even though I made it, you know, and it wins the Unchained match, I'm wondering if BLS can do the same exact thing with I guess less summons, because to get to that point, you know, you gotta expend a lot of summons. So I'm trying to see exactly what I can do a bit different to play around Nibiru, which you don't really have to play much around it. And while rescue ace can kind of fight through it, it's not optimal at all. And if you're doing not optimal things, at least from my experience in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, then you're pretty much going to lose, you know, especially where games can end in like 2 turns. But other than that, once again, hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Shout outs to Team WUNAX again. And you guys can be expecting some great things from Pandora Majin, which is my brand that will be coming later this year and beginning of 2024. I'm not only doing TCG products, but once again, I am making my own trading card game itself, which I plan to launch, I think around summer, fall of 2024 after EVO, the fighting game championships. So stay tuned for that, because the card game I'm working on is a fighting card game in and of itself. So with that said, it's your boy Michael Smith Grant, also known as EKARD, also known as Popo, and I'll catch you guys next time. You already know, nobody can be God, but everybody has the potential to be God-like. Doses.